Pretty shy. You want to be an occupational therapist. Okay, cool. Then next up.
My name is Asia, and I want to go to PA school with BBA.
Okay.
I would say like I'm pretty shy too. Like I don't like approaching people from this.
Okay. A lot of shy people in here. But by the way, I used to be super shy too. So, not even joking too. So next up.
Julio, I want to become a PE teacher and coach for high school. And I think I'm not that confident.
Okay. So you want to be a PE teacher, not too confident yet, but that's what you want to do. Okay. Next up.
My name is Ariana. I want to be an athletic trainer, and I'm pretty shy also.
Okay, nice. So athletic trainer, pretty shy, and then what else?
My name is Lee, and I want to major in Blvd. And I want to become an athletic trainer and a coach.
Athletic trainer?
And a coach.
Okay, and a coach. What type of coach?
Cross country.
Nice.
Cross country track. And I'm pretty quiet as well.
Pretty quiet. That could be a benefit too as well. So you want to be an athletic trainer and a coach, cross country. Okay, next up.
My name is Angel, and I'm here because I want to become a physical therapist, and I would say I'm pretty shy sometimes.
Nice. So you want to be a physical therapist, pretty shy, that's the challenge. Cool. Next up.
I'm Sylvia. I want to become a physical therapist, and I'm pretty shy as well.
Okay, sweet. We're all shy. We can all do it together. So you want to be a physical therapist? Yeah. And by the way, I used to be super shy. I used to have like social anxiety, like couldn't look people in the eyes, and now I teach this stuff. So I call this motor learning. And after this, you're going to have a competitive advantage over your classmates. I promise if you use any of this stuff I teach you, okay? So it's a combination of, I've been coaching 14 years. I've been mentored by some of the best physical therapists in the world, coaches, people you see on TV. And even for the past 6-7 months, I've been really doing a deep dive on my own leadership. Like I go to see mentors, they tell me that my weakness is, and I wanted to do this deep dive on communication. And so you're gonna have the right things to tell people, but how do you bridge that gap between being shy? And you notice if you say something to one person, it works out. You say the same thing to another person, it's like, why is it not working out? So you're gonna have a competitive advantage if you use some of this stuff. I always start with a target, so here's a few things you're gonna learn. I take a very unconventional approach to teaching. I tell through stories. I'm gonna teach you, as you leave here today, how getting somebody to wash your hands will give you a competitive advantage over your classmates when you leave. I'm gonna share with you, see all these different faces? How recognizing faces means recognizing reality. And if you can recognize reality, it's much like learning a language. You notice things somebody else doesn't notice, you have a competitive advantage over your classmates, okay? Shyness can actually be a great asset, okay? Next up, I'm gonna teach you the power of mirror neurons. This is the same reason movies are addicting, your favorite song's addicting. And this is how I teach people how to coach, especially the last 6 months, is these mirror neurons. And once you use this, you basically can figure things out other people are missing. Next up, anybody heard of Jane Goodall? Jane Goodall. So again, the last 6 months, I've been obsessed with her and what she did, but she's gonna teach you how to be an elite level observer. It's gonna separate you from your classmates. And then, if you guys, anybody coaching right now? Even if it's your friends or anything, right? So this is gonna give you a competitive advantage because when you go to like physical therapy school, when you go to learn how to coach people, it's gonna say a certain way to coach in the books. And then you enter the real world and you're like, why is this not working? And so I'm gonna teach you how to decrease the downloading speed to get somebody to do what you want. Next up, have you ever spoken to somebody and it just works out? You got rapport with people and you talk to somebody else and it just doesn't work out. You're shy, they don't know what to say. I'm gonna teach you how to basically stand out from all your classmates. How you can like instantly gain rapport with all different psychological archetypes. Your shyness it's not gonna hold you back if you use some of these things. And then, if you can win friends and influence people, like every mentor I've ever had has read this book. I've read this book. A lot of the coaches I know that are doing what they want, they've read this book or at least practiced some of the things in here. And if you can win friends and influence people, you surround yourself with people that add to the vibe, add to the energy. And then we're going to do some recap. So what the hell does this have to do with kinesiology? Washing hands. So in 1846, there was this Hungarian-born doctor, and the medical field was going through this transition. It was transitioning from doctors saying black magic, feng shui, demons are to blame for diseases and death. Then it was transitioning to the scientific method. You know, gathering data, crunching the numbers, and this Hungarian-born doctor was no different. So he joins this maternity ward, and he immediately finds out there's a lot of women dying from childbirth. Way too much. It's stressing him out. And he's like, I'm going to use the scientific method and figure this out. He noticed there was two sides. On this side was the doctors and the students delivering babies. On this side was the midwives. And when the doctors and students delivered babies, 5 times more is death. So you don't want to be given birth from this side. When the midwives do it, 5 times less death. And so he figured this out. He's all right, I got to do the numbers. What's the difference? So when the doctors and students deliver babies, the moms are on their side. The midwives are on their side, on their back. So he's like, all right, let's do what they do. They crunch the numbers, no change whatsoever. There's a lot more women dying from these people. And then he says, all right, what else is the difference? When the doctors and students deliver babies, they have a priest come around and ring a bell. And so he said, all right, priest, I'm going to take that bell away from you. You're probably stressing the moms out. Can you go the other way? He does this, no change. Still 5 times more deaths on this side. He gives up, essentially, goes on vacation, takes a few weeks off, comes back, and he gets some more bad news. I promise this story gets better. His coworker dies as he's given an autopsy, pricks his finger, and some of the stuff from the cadaver particles gets in his bloodstream. But he dies from the exact same thing these moms are dying from. And he's like, wait a second. 5 times more deaths on this side. You're doing autopsies, midwives are not. I think I'm on something. So he tells the doctors and students, hey, after you do an autopsy, wash your hands with chlorine. This is before they knew about germ theory. He just wanted to get rid of the smell. And then they started giving birth, and what happens? Anybody want to guess what happened after this? Less people died. He figured it out. Do you think the doctors and students were happy about this? Who says yes? Who says no? You're nodding your head no. So they were not happy. They were actually pissed off. Why were they pissed off? Because this Hungarian-born doctor used every opportunity to blame them publicly. He was basically saying, you're killing all these moms. And they were pissed off because they said, how dare you say that? It goes back and forth, back and forth. He gets stressed out. He gets angry. He eventually gets pushed into a mental institution. Why do you think he was pushed into a mental institution? There's no right or wrong answer. What do you think? What do you think?
To stop him from
That's not a bad answer. He was pushed into a mental institution because he had the truth, but he wrapped this present in gift wrap nobody wanted to unwrap. I'll say that again. He wrapped this truth in this wrapping nobody wanted to unwrap. So when you go out in the real world, you might have the right answer, you might have the right way of teaching somebody, but if you can't communicate it to that, you're not going to get anywhere. So if you have the truth, I want you to ask yourself, am I delivering it in the package people want to unwrap? To rise to your field, it's not even debatable. The number one skill to have is emotional intelligence. Number one skill is cultivate emotional intelligence. Can you get people to do what they need to do? And I'll teach you some practical ways to do this. Next up, you see these different faces? Recognizing faces means recognizing reality. So there was a University of Texas study. They had moms and 12-month-old kids, daughters and sons. It was a room like this, and there was the head of the study. He said, all right, mom, the daughter is not allowed to touch this forbidden object. But he only told the mom, doesn't tell the daughter. So they put him in the room, mom's in the corner over there, forbidden object here, and then daughter comes and touches it, but 10 to 20 times less than the son. 10 to 20 times less than the son. The other thing is the daughters look back at their mom 10 to 20 times more. They're looking at her facial gaze, approval or disapproval. The kids, the sons, they touched it 10 to 20 times more, even though the mom can say, don't touch it, son. The other thing is the boys didn't look back at mom to get approval or disapproval. Like girls, have you ever had a guy talk to you and he was coming off as creepy and he couldn't read your facial expressions, right? He didn't recognize face, couldn't read reality. Or your best friend doesn't understand what's going on. And this is the crux of my coaching, especially the last 6-7 months, is teaching new coaches. When you coach somebody, look at them. Are you comfortable with eye contact? What's their reaction? Are they happy, sad, understanding, not understanding? And here's the thing. Most communication is nonverbal. If you got close friends, you could tell when they're in a good mood or a bad mood. If you've been dating somebody, you're like, what's wrong? You can read it in their face. So when you're coaching people, do your best to read their facial expressions. And when you do this, this is when you get proof that you're doing this correct. You'll say something to a nonverbal cue in their face, and they'll say, how'd you know? You'll become a prediction specialist. And if you become a prediction specialist, don't you think you stand out from your classmates? You can see things what other people don't see. I'll give you time to write. Next up, mirror neurons. Anybody watch a movie before? Yeah? Anybody got like a favorite sports team? What's your favorite sports team? Yeah? When they're playing, do you feel the same kind of emotion they feel? Like when the touchdown happens, do you get excited? Yeah, okay. What about if it's, the last 2 minutes and it's up in the air, you don't know who's gonna win? Do you feel that like kind of heartbeat? This is why. Okay, so Italian scientists, they hooked up these monkeys to these brain scanners. And they put a peanut on the table. And then as the monkey picks up the peanut, a part of the brain lights up and makes a noise. There's nothing novel about that. But one day a scientist, had the monkeys already hooked up, and he came and actually picked up the peanut, and what he found out was the same part of the brain and the monkey lit up and made the sound. And think about this. So monkey does it, it lights up. Monkey sees it, the same part lights up. It's as if the monkey's doing it when he sees it. It's called mirror neurons. And this is the difference between, I think, great coaches and mediocre coaches. Great coaches are obsessed with mirror neurons. If you go outside right now and you see like another teacher holding a box of books and it's about to fall over, what do? If you're walking right next to her? Help her? But you're reacting, you might go, whoa, whoa. The same thing if a painter has a ladder and he's right next to you, you're gonna be like, whoa, 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 watch it. And so when you're coaching people, do you coach and go like stare off in the space? Or do you pick up on mirror neurons? Think about why movies are addicting. You feel the horror click because you're watching it. You're absorbing these mirror neurons. So when you like absorbing somebody, how do they move? How do they walk? How do they talk? And it's almost like you create this symbiotic connection. Does that make sense? So mirror neurons, look it up. It's super crazy stuff with mirror neurons. So this is one of my favorite stories. If you don't know about Jane Goodall, I really recommend you check her out. So back in the day, primatologists, that's the study of primates. There was old guard, new guard. The old guard, they would observe these primates in cages. And they would observe these primates behind protective glass. And so they had some assumed truths. They said, all right, primates, they are vegetarians. They don't have any tools. Only humans have tools. They don't have unique personalities. And then Jane Goodall, I think she's 23 in this picture. And they just did a documentary on her. You should watch it. It's awesome. And she said, I'm going to do the complete opposite. I'm going to go watch them in their natural habitat. I'm going to observe them in their natural habitat. I'm not going to see them behind protective glass. And I want you to think how crazy this was. These animals were thought to be killing machines, like more dangerous than gorillas. And you have this 23-year-old woman going out into the wild. And what she did, she would observe these primates, and if she got too close, they would say, hey, back up, I'm uneasy. She'd back up. She'd try it again with another one, get a little too close. They'd give her their feedback, she'd back up. This went on for a long time, and then she'd get closer and closer and closer. And again, this was never done before. Next thing you know, she starts naming these primates. This was novel because back then they just gave them numbers. So she started naming the primates, and then something else happened. She started noticing their different personalities. This one was Machiavellian. This one was a trickster. This one was shy. This one laughed. This one didn't pay attention. This one was needy. And she started to write stuff down and said, oh my God, not only that, they have tools. Back in the day, they thought humans were the only animals that had tools, so they started making tools. They're not vegetarians. In fact, they kill other primates and eat meat. The other thing that started happening is she started touching them, and they started touching her. Never in the history has this ever done before. They thought they were killing machines. And then she starts to write back home, and she writes, you know what? I'm starting to think like a chimpanzee subconsciously. She can make their noises, she can make their sounds. And you know what she developed? She developed this uncanny ability to recognize them and find them in the wild. So why am I telling you this story? This has probably been the biggest impact in the past 6 months of my leadership, coaching new coaches. I want to see, like, if you're coaching people, at what level of absorption do you have? Do you coach and are you absorbing like this? Or are you staring off into space? If somebody's doing, I don't know, like it's a band walk drill or a squat, the difference between like a Tom Brady and a Colin Kaepernick. Tom Brady is so absorbed in it. All right, how long does it take her to do 10 squats? How long does it take her to run back and forth? What does she look like doing band walks? How long does it take? What does she look like when it's good? What does it look like when her hip hurts, her knee hurts? And you will be able to stand out from other people. Like, I've been in business going on 11 years. 9 out of 10 businesses fail within 5 years. And I survived because I basically learned how to communicate with people. And so the difference between you and another coach is your level of absorption. You should be taking notes on every single person you coach. Because if you're the only person taking notes on people you coach, you're gonna stand out. You're gonna know things other people don't know. I'll wait for you guys to keep riding. When you coach people, do you put them in cages? Are you behind protective glass door, or are you in their environment? When you coach, are your eyes glazed over, or you look like wide eye and bushy tail, like you're in enemy territory? That's the difference. You will notice things other people will not notice. Give you time to write notes. Awesome. So here's next up. In the books, it's been a while since I've been in school, but I remember back in the day when I was learning this stuff, it was a lot of internal-based coaching. I'll unpack what that means. The debate is over. There's no debate. Basically, external coaching is superior in every way. So here's the difference between internal and external coaching. Internal coaching are things like activate your glutes, or externally rotate your shoulders, retract your shoulder blades. This is internal coaching. We probably use it 20% of the time. And when this happens, you put their focus inside on their body, and what happens, their heart rate goes up, they get more in their head, they get nervous, their heart rate variability goes down, which is a bad thing, and performance goes down. It's not a debatable issue. There's too much evidence. And so whenever you're coaching somebody and they do this, when you say blah, 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 and they look in their eyes like this, you need to move on to something else. Coaching should be done quick, like this. Hey, what's up, man? External coaching are things like this. Push the floor away from you. If you're doing a push-up, push the floor away from you. Bend the bar in half with your hands. Jump into the floor, put a pothole in the floor. What does external coaching do? It takes the focus away from your body and it puts it on the execution of the movement as it relates to the environment. Right? If you want somebody to reach out, put them in front of a wall and say, reach through the wall. What happens with external coaching is your heart rate gets slower, you get in the zone, your heart rate variability goes up. I spoke to Nick Winkelman. Besides my mentor, he's probably coached more NFL combine players than anybody in North America. And they didn't change any X's and O's. They didn't do any Russian periodization. They didn't do anything. All they changed was to external coaching, and everyone's 40s improved. And if you know anything about NFL combine, if your 40 improves, that's an extra $2 to $10 million. External coaching. So when you read stuff in the books, make sure you're doing external coaching. Let me ask you a question. When somebody talks to you, what do you think they're doing? Or when you talk to somebody, what do you think they're doing? What was that? What else? A few examples. There's no wrong answers. What else? What was that?
Eye contact.
Yeah, all good answers. Here's my contention. When most people talk to you, they're not listening to you. They're waiting for you to shut up so they can talk. I do this, we all do this. That's one of the reasons I coach this. And when you incorporate what I'm about to teach you, you're gonna stand out. 9 out of 10 of you probably won't do this. The 1 out of 10 that does this, you're gonna stand out from your classmates. I want you to do an experiment. When you go outside of here, when you're interacting with people, see how they interact with you. Unless they're really good friends, they just wait for you to shut up so they can say something about themselves. Do an experiment. Walk out to people. And it happens much like this. Somebody might come up to me and say, hey, you know what, Chris, I didn't have my coffee this morning. I feel, traffic. Most people will say this, oh, I hate when I don't have my traffic. Everyone's talking about themselves. And so if you could talk about the other person, you stand out. You're the 1 out of 10. So there's 3 levels of this. Level 1 is monologue listening. The instructions here, how does this apply to me? This is what 9 out of 10 of your classmates will do all day today. If you choose to be the 1 out of 10, you make an impression, you stand out, and then you get what you want out of life. The greatest skill you can have is how to communicate with people. The greatest skill, without a doubt. So here's how it goes, right? So if somebody says, you know what, Chris, I didn't have my coffee this morning, traffic was horrible. Your instructions, we'll play this out, is basically to say how that applies to you. Oh, I hate when I don't have my coffee. I hate when traffic sucks. Level 2 is reflective listening. What is this person saying to me? So if somebody says, hey, you know what, I didn't have my coffee this morning, traffic sucks. Your instructions are to say, oh man, you didn't have your coffee this morning? Traffic sucked? Now you're actually doing what Stephen Covey says. You're making an emotional deposit in their bank account. Think about it. If somebody talks to 100 people in a day and you're the only one that makes an emotional deposit in their bank, you're going to stick out. Even if you're shy, even if you don't have the confidence. You do that, you stick out. Level 3, who is this person speaking to me? So somebody might say, you know what, Chris, I didn't have my coffee this morning. Traffic really sucked. If you want to stand out and be memorable, do this. Hey, you know what, Jeff, it sounds like your morning routine is really important to you, and then getting off your morning routine really sets the day for you. Is that true? Emotional deposit. You stand out from everybody else. So kind of write this stuff down. There's 3 levels. 9 out of 10 of your classmates are stuck on level 1. They make no impression. They become forgettable. At least start with level 2. Go to level 3. You'll be surprised. Some people, they might not be bought into what you're saying, not because you're not saying something correct, just because they're going through some shit in their life. Okay, so up the game here. Here's something else. We use this a lot. It's called validating. And validating is super powerful because it gives an emotional deposit to people. And validating is not agreeing or disagreeing. It's just saying, hey man, I feel you. Some of the examples you can say is, hey, you know what? You have every right to feel that way because it makes perfect sense you feel that way. So if somebody comes in and they got 2 kids and they're a project manager and they say, you know what, Chris, I'm so glad I'm here, but like, I'm so stressed out because of this, this, and this. The old me would have been Mr. Tony Robbins and change your state and this and that works for most people. Some people. The new me is like, hey, you know what? It makes perfect sense you'd feel that way. You know, you got a project going on, you got the kids going on, I totally get it. And you know what happens? You can actually feel stress go away from their face. Because probably 10 people beforehand didn't say anything like that. So validating, super important. Next up, this is a classic. I think if you read one book to help you in life, this is the book. My mentor, he told me to read this book. And I believe another person I learned from a few times, he told this story. He was playing D1 college football, and he's in the jacuzzi, and he's reading this book. And then one of his teammates looks at it and he's like, loser. Right now, that guy has, I think, the one who was reading it has like 20 gyms across the country. And the one who said he's a loser, nobody knows where he is. Read this book. I'm going to share 3 things from this book. There's a bunch of stuff in there, but I'm just going to share 3 things. What do you think everyone's favorite word in the English language is? There's no wrong answers. I don't move on until I get 2 answers. Good. Close. What is that? Close. That's not far off. All right. Close. Alexandra, Sam, Jessica. How do you pronounce that? AJ? Asia. Jose.
Your own name.
Thank you. It's someone's name. Like if you're a dude and a cute chick says your name, or girls, a guy that you have a crush on says your name, there's something about the name. If you use actually, so 9 out of 10 people say the following: I'm bad with names. 9 out of 10 people are bad with names, and most people are. But if you're going to be a coach, if you're going to be in a position of leadership, there's no greater skill than being great at names. Napoleon was world known for remembering all his soldiers' names. He would call them by name. If you can actually get this, and this is a skill you can learn. You should be able to know at least 100 people's names. Google it. There's so many ways to do it. At our place, we call everybody by their name and we say, thank you for coming, Jen. If you're the only coach that says, thank you for coming and use their name, you're gonna stand out. Learn people's names, use people's names as much as possible. Just give it a shot, try it. Call somebody's name, what happened? If somebody says Chris, you got like 3, Chris is a common name, you'll get 3 Chris's looking around. Use people's names. Here's the other 2. Talk in terms of other people's interests. Again, I teach this because I have to relearn it all the time. You remember the doctor that couldn't convince people to wash their hands? Do you think if he spoke in their interest that it probably would have turned out differently? So whenever I'm trying to get somebody to do something, I always speak in their interest, or at least I try to. I always say, this is what it's in for you. When I do sales, it's all permission based. It's like, hey, is this important to you? Maybe make sure you want to do the value of like, you value this is the type of person. If you speak in terms of other people's interest, you stand out. Because what do most people do? Walk out of here with your colleagues, coworkers, they're doing level 1 listening. Everyone's talking about themselves. Everyone's obsessed with themselves. So if you become obsessed with other people's interest, people will go around you and you'll have a following. Here's the 3rd one. This one I have to relearn all the time. Letting people save face. Remember that doctor? He would publicly humiliate people and say, you know what, you guys are wrong. This is your fault. So one of the biggest challenges I had in my leadership, so I have mentors, I have masterminds, and so I go to believable people that criticize me all the time in a good way. And when it's coming from a place of love, it's actually the most caring thing you can do. And part of my stuff was I needed to hold people more accountable and higher standings for my team. But here's the thing, if you criticize, I give feedback all the time now, but when I give feedback, I always say, hey, you know what, this is the similar mistake I made in this area. And it's absolutely true. Because how good does it feel if somebody's giving you criticism and say, hey, you know, man, I've been there, I made a similar mistake, this is how I got through it. If 9 out of 10 people criticize, but don't let the person save face, you become like everybody else. So if you criticize somebody, you know, let them save face, let them know how like you struggle too, and it makes you more relatable, okay? And then recap, that's pretty much it. You learn how you can get people to wash their hands, sets you apart from people. Just because you have the truth doesn't mean people will listen to you. You can have all the science and facts on your side, it does not matter. Pay attention to faces. Get comfortable with eye contact. Look at people. See how they react to you. Look at all these different faces. These are all different emotions. Mirror neurons. Look this up, it's huge. You should learn from this girl, Jane Goodall, how she was so absorbed in the environment that she got this uncanny ability to locate primates. If you become as absorbed as Jane Goodall, you can locate your athletes, the people you teach, when nobody else can. External coaches, learn about it. When you're reading stuff in the books, yeah, you can use internal coaching 20% of the time, but you better go to external coaching 80% of the time. There is no debate on this issue. There's too much evidence on this. And you know what? It gets them to basically do what you want them to do and execute a movement much quicker. You learn that when you walk out of this room, in this hallway, 99.9% of the people are on level 1. Do a test, don't trust me, talk to people. Everyone's talking about themselves. Stand out, do level 2, level 3. You know, what is this person saying? Just do this experiment. Just repeat what the person said to you and see how their eyes light up. They're like, emotional deposits. Say what this person values and you'll see how they start want to hang out with you. You can actually feel the emotional deposit. Look at their eyes, you can feel a different feeling happen. How to win friends and influence people. People who laugh at this regret it. People who read this are like, thank God you told me about this book. Check it out, How to Win Friends and Influence People. What's the favorite word in the English language? Someone's name, yeah.
Could you go back to the start of the book so you get the author's name?
Yeah, Dale Carnegie, yeah. That dude is like the most OG when it comes to all this stuff. He taught the people that are teaching us today. It's like any book by this dude is like money. So check that out. If you say you're not good at names, you're not good at names. I wasn't good at names. I learned a different language. I can speak a different language too. There's so much stuff. There's a guy named John Quick. He's an Asian dude. He teaches people. He's the quickest reader in the world. So he has all these memory games and he teaches you how to remember names. Remember names. It's probably the best skill set. If I can do one skill set that you do, is learn the ability to call people by their names. And you'd be surprised how your social circle grows. You'd be surprised how your leadership grows and how people will start listening to you more. Sweet. Any questions? So now I'll ask you guys a question. What's one thing you're going to use from this talk? Yeah.
Remember the names.
Remember the names?
I'm gonna read the book.
Yeah, thank you. There you go. What else? I'll get one from, so I'll say, my mentor, Mike Boyle, I'll be at a seminar and he's the head talker. And last time I was with him, he's sitting next to me, taking notes, asking dumb questions. And he's called like the godfather of strength and conditioning. Look him up. And he's the one who will ask the dumb questions his interns won't ask, or his coaches won't ask. And so just ask any question or say one thing you're gonna do. You're actually gonna feel better after you do it. What's one thing, Sam?
We're gonna take away the external coaching.
Okay, external coaching, cool, cool. External coaching, cool. Jessica?
The reflective listening.
Cool. Who are you gonna be able to use that with?
My friends.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I trust you. Like when I teach this and people come back to me, they're like, damn, people are just want to tell me everything now. So the floodgates might come open. The reflective listening, yeah, it's pretty awesome. And then next up, who's left? We'll say again? Okay, facial expressions. And then what else? Who's left? Two? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I said the names.
Oh yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah.
Reflective speaking.
Reflective speaking. Book. It's awesome. Any book of his, so he has really good ones on getting rid of shyness. He's got really good ones on public speaking. And it's crazy how this stuff still stands the test of time. So like any of his books are like pretty awesome. Look up his stuff. Any other questions? No, so you know what, you guys, if you guys want to send me an email and see how this stuff works, that'd be super awesome. You can communicate with Emily, yeah. If you use this stuff, you will stand out from people. So I've been in business going on 11 years. I started with no business experience, 0. And I just lasted because I kept learning how to talk to people and connect with people. So this is the greatest skill set you can have, okay? Even though it's a kinesiology class, you gotta be able to communicate this stuff to people, all right? Thank you guys, awesome, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.